Greetings.
And today we'll be talking about vampires. And before you start saying, why didn't you cover this or that, we've covered vampires extensively in our other videos, and this just in, beep, 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 boop, boop, boop. We don't give a shit what you think about it. It's our show. Okay.
Nice disclaimer.
Yeah. And I gotta mention something first, like, vampires in comics, like Morbius, he's not technically a vampire, because, you know, the sucker's on his hands.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's the whole fucking comic code thing. Like,
They had to make it a little more family-friendly for the cartoon as well. Morbius, you know, the Spider-Man cartoon, I mean.
And Tomb of Dracula started out pretty good by itself, and they changed it a whole lot, like, halfway through. So, like, it wasn't technically horror anymore. It was something else entirely, which I think personally ruined the whole thing. And, there's been a lot of, like, really good vampire horror comics. Like, I don't remember what series it was, but I remember, like, one, like, there's a restaurant where they had people suspended upside down, had freaking, like, spigots in their necks, and, like,
Awesome.
would turn it on. And, like, Stephen King mentions it in, like, his opening to Salem's Lot.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't say, like, what series it is. Like, I want to read that. It's fucking cool.
Salem's Lot's probably my favorite vampire novel.
Yeah, it's like, that's followed the whole thing, like, what if Dracula came to America instead?
Yeah.
He'd probably get hit by a cab.
The novel version was a lot like Dracula. The first movie adaptation, directed by Toby Hooper, they made Kurt Barlow more like Count Orlok from Nosferatu.
For reasons.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, we covered zombies, we covered werewolves. We forgot to mention Resident Evil in our zombie video, but oh well.
Yeah, it's...
Now we're doing vampires. Bloodsuckers.
That's evolved. Like, they're not
Undead.
technically zombies anymore. They're more infected.
Virus. I'm just sick of virus.
Yeah.
But yeah, we talked about that already. My favorite vampire movie is Fright Night, which I already did a review of on my own show. I just love that movie. Also really like The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
And all the Dracula adaptations as well, especially, you know, of course, the 1931 black and white Universal film with Bela Lugosi, which we talked about in our very first video we ever did.
At length.
Yeah. And I also really like, of course, obviously, all the Hammer Dracula movies of Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, which we already talked about in Christopher Lee appreciation video.
In length.
And also really like the 1979 version with Frank Langella and Laurence Olivier, Donald Pleasance. I think that's really underrated. You don't hear much about it. And also, of course, the 1992 Francis Ford Coppola, Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman and Anthony Hopkins.
1992. No, it was 1990.
92.
Are you sure?
Positive. That was probably the closest to the book, although they did take a lot of liberties. The romance factor was definitely increased a lot. And plus Mina's now a reincarnation of his long-lost love. I mean, I guess that was kind of hinted at, but they didn't have that little prologue at the beginning that shows how he became Dracula, when he was, like, pretty specifically Vlad the Impaler in the movie. They made that pretty clear. It was only kind of suggested before. But, you know, Bram Stoker got the inspiration from that, obviously.
Yeah, and Dracula's gone from being a mustachioed, beak-nosed freak to being... what's the word I'm looking for? Sexified?
Yeah, he's become like more. Yeah, he's become like more and more
faggot?
suave and charming and like seductive, like throughout the various incarnations. And he actually didn't have a weakness to sunlight in the original novel. I think it kind of made him like less powerful, maybe a little more vulnerable, but it didn't kill him. I think the first time they introduced that to vampire's weakness to sunlight was in the 1922 silent film Nosferatu with Max Schreck.
I got a way to explain the whole sunlight thing. Okay, I got to talk about Darkwatch for a second. Okay, in Darkwatch, you get turned into a vampire. When you go out in the sun, you're pretty much just turned human. So it's like, you're vulnerable, you're like normal to everything.
Kind of how the novel was, wasn't it? It's been a long time since I read it.
I love Dracula, but the book, honestly, it leaves a lot out.
It was a bunch of journal entries put together.
Journal entries, letters.
Different interpretations, which was cool, but it kind of, you know...
It takes away from the whole
really
thing.
Explain, yeah.
It's like where you watch a movie, and there's so much going on with the characters, you think, wait, did I miss a movie or something?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like that.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt reading it back in, like, fucking junior high. And no, we're not going to talk about Twilight.
It sucks.
At all. Yeah, there you go. There's our review of all the Twilight books and movies. However, if you do run out of toilet paper, the Twilight books do come in handy. So there's that. So they are useful for something. And the discs make good frisbees too for the movies, the DVDs. You can play frisbee.
I think there should be a Blade 4. Blade goes to Washington.
Hell yeah. Hell, Buffy and Blade should team up and destroy those emo superheroes, sparkling faggots. Blade Trinity kind of sucked.
Yeah. Blade 2 was the best.
Yeah, I agree. By far.
One thing I got a problem with Blade 2 is, like, they give you this team of vampires, like, oh, that's cool. They kill half the team in, 20 minutes.
It's like, what the hell? Like, should there have been, a more extensive fight scene at least?
No. I did like how they had Ron Perlman on the team. That was, added to it.
Yeah, oh yeah. Wesley Snipes was a good choice for Blade, I think.
Yeah. Originally it was going to be O.J. Simpson, but then you know what happened with that.
He was originally supposed to play the Terminator, too, and they said he was too nice to be believable as a killer.
You know what I'm glad they did with Blade?
What's that?
They made him normal instead of how he turned out in Tomb of Dracula.
Yeah? What do you mean?
You read it, didn't you?
Well, yeah, but he was part vampire.
No, I mean his... think about it. What did he do in that comic series?
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're saying.
How did he talk? How did he come across to you?
Yeah, you're right. It was
that.
Different.
I'm glad they didn't do that.
Yeah, that would have sucked. As far as comic books go, Eerie and Creepy had some really good vampire stories in there, as well as Tales of the
problem with
Haunt
those
of Fear.
Well, the problem with those is the vampires don't technically show up till the twist ending.
Well, yeah, a lot of times you didn't know it was a vampire until. Well, there was that one where this guy got rid of vampire, and then at the end he's like, "Oh shoot, that was a close one." And then it's shows he has fangs. He's like, "That guy would have blown my cover." So I think that was one of the early Creepy comics. I think Vault of Horror had a lot of good ones too, as well as Tales of the Crypt and Haunt of Fear. That was the title that we couldn't think of at that time. Haunt of Fear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was the third. That was the sister comic to Tales of the Crypt. And House of Mystery and Ghostly Tales from the Haunted House had some good vampire stories as well. But
honestly, there aren't really any good vampire movies anymore.
Yeah, there hasn't been a good vampire movie for a long time. Because the vampires are hardly ever the villains anymore. I loved the True Blood series up until it started getting gradually worse and worse, and the last season pretty much ruining it for me. I don't even own it on DVD. The second season. That's how bad it sucked.
I watched it up to what was the season? That Coven of Witches. I watched that season, and that was pretty much it for me.
Oh yeah, season 4.
Yeah. Because then it got kind of stupid.
It's kind of jumped the shark. Yeah, at first it was a realistic take on what if vampires were real. That's exactly how it would be. There'd be people fighting for vampire rights. There'd be churches protesting against it. It'd be exactly like that. It was kind of like a metaphor for gay rights and stuff like that as well. And it was very believable. Well, then it kind of got more and more fantasy oriented and less grounded in reality.
It started taking more after the books.
Yeah.
Which honestly, they're okay, but yeah.
The books didn't have the overriding theme of homosexuality. There was so much gay references in the series because I think the creator of the series, Alan Ball, pretty sure he was gay, so they put a lot of gay stuff in it.
The books, I feel like they feel like it's gonna be you're gonna eventually get into porno, but it never gets there. It moves on to something else.
Yeah, the show was like a softcore porn sometimes. Dang.
Yeah. Though I wonder why they hired Anna Paquin. I like her, but the Sookie Stackhouse in the book is more So yeah.
Less of a bitch.
Yeah, that and more.
She was good as Rogue in the X-Men movies, even though
she didn't do much in those movies.
Yeah, her character never progressed. It stayed the same. They're all the whole series. I don't like my powers. She hardly ever really used them either. But there's a lot of characters that were wasted in that series.
She didn't accentuate the accent.
Yeah. I love the X-Men movies, but they did waste a lot of the best characters, and they didn't get to use
Although when
full
you think
potential.
about it, when she started doing True Blood, Anna Paquin got naked more than Rogue ever did. If you think about it, just imagine she dyed her hair and imagine this True Blood takes place after the third movie. She's lost her powers. She moved to a new town and dyed her hair and is catching up on all the sex she never had before.
She still has powers. She's still a telepath.
She's not telepathic.
Sookie Stackhouse is.
Oh, yeah. That's something else entirely. Follow the plot theory, okay? Don't poke.
No, I'm saying you said she should lose her powers. She gained new powers.
I did.
But
back on topic.
Yeah. Anyway, vampires. What's some other great vampire movies? We have Near Dark. Of course, Interview with the Vampire, Queen of the Damned, based on the Anne Rice books. Lestat. Who do you think was a better Lestat, Tom Cruise or Stuart Townsend?
I don't really like either of them.
Yeah, they're both so different. They both played the characters so differently. They're two different movies too. Like wow, like the Interview with the Vampire is like more drama. It felt kind of like a soap opera at times. It was a lot more serious. Queen of the Damned is more MTV, in your face, over the top type music video type movie. But you know, Interview with the Vampire is still a pretty good movie.
Yeah, but it doesn't really hold up anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I prefer horror vampires myself. I'm kind of sick of the romance, and I'm sick of the vampires being good guys. You know, I want to see more villainous vampires. I want to see some bloodsuckers.
Oh, and something I forgot to mention in our last video, but also carries over to this video, is a movie you probably haven't seen, but I saw.
What's that?
Is The Wolfman versus the Vampire Lady. Or Vampire Lady versus the Werewolf.
Is that one of the Paul Naschy films? He played a werewolf in 15 movies.
Oh, probably. I didn't actually check the credits.
It's like a Spanish movie or something?
Yeah, but it was in English,
Probably
which is weird.
It was probably dubbed in English.
If it is, it's pretty good at doing.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of those like old 60s and 70s B movies with vampires and werewolves.
One of the really good movie adaptations of a book, I would have to say would be Carmilla. Actually,
I don't think I saw that one.
it's pretty good.
Vamp is a pretty good movie with vampire strippers basically. That one, the one chick who kind of looks like a man. I can't think of her name right now. Bordello of Blood. And then that Tales from the Crypt, it's a Tales from the Crypt movie. Then that Tales from the Crypt episode with Malcolm McDowell as a vampire, and Michael Berryman played a descendant of Van Helsing. That was pretty cool.
The Reluctant Vampire?
Yeah, Reluctant Vampire. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah, he worked at a blood bank. And then the episode where the vampire family adopted that boy, and it turned out he was a werewolf, and they didn't know he was a werewolf, but they kept feeding him sweets because they wanted his blood to taste good, because they were planning on feeding on him. Yeah, that was a good one too. I love when vampires fight werewolves. It doesn't happen often enough. I'm not a huge fan of the Underworld series, which we talked about in our werewolf video. I mean, I guess in a vampire episode you got to mention Underworld.
Yeah, it's. I kind of hope they don't make another movie.
Underworld?
Yeah, the third one was pushing it.
How many are there now? 4? 5?
4.
That's what I thought. I saw the first 2 in theaters, and after that I just kind of lost interest. Same with Resident Evil. I saw the first 2, and after that I was just enough.
What else?
Near Dark, they didn't really feel vampires. I don't think they really showed their fangs much or anything. They kind of seem more like just people with powers that couldn't die. I mean, they did feed on people, but I hate when they don't have fangs. That just irritates me. Vampires need fangs. The original Dracula gets a pass because that was back in the 30s and they didn't have the budget for it.
I think we covered everything. Because I have honestly run out of things to say.
We don't need to talk about Buffy, do we? Angel and Spike and all that.
Nah. They're more like giant cats than vampires.
Who'd you say are your top 5 favorite vampires? From books, movies, video games, comics?
Mm-hmm. I don't think I have any. Cause like the thing with vampires though is like more often than not, there's a lot of stuff like wrong with it that it kind of like takes away from it. But
Count Chocula.
yeah,
That's the greatest vampire right there.
yeah.
I think for me, number 1 would obviously be Dracula. And that includes Count Orlok as well. They're essentially the same character. That movie was an adaptation of the novel. They just couldn't use all the names because I think Bram Stoker's wife wouldn't let them or something. And so yeah, Nosferatu, Dracula, it's number 1. And Jerry Dandridge, definitely, from Fright Night. His sister in Fright Night 2, Regine, she wasn't quite as seductive and, like, I don't know, she wasn't, like, as sexy as she could have been. Like, I don't know. Yeah, definitely David from The Lost Boys.
Something else. I don't know if you played it or not, but there was a Dracula point-and-click game for PlayStation. I can't remember the name of it. But it takes place after Dracula's, like, he's returned and they gotta go back to Transylvania and all this. And, like, I didn't get very far in it.
You don't remember the name of it?
Uh-uh.
There's a Castlevania series, of course, too.
Oh, yeah.
Simon Belmont. This guy kind of...
That game series is almost as convoluted as Metal Gear
Yeah,
Solid.
it's become a very big mess. It's, like, way overcomplicated. The timeline is just, like, almost impossible to follow. Much like the Legend of Zelda series.
Yeah.
They pretty much threw continuity out the window. Of course, video games aren't really known for their consistencies. From entry to entry. Oh, there's the Count from Sesame Street, too.
Yeah.
3 bronze pots. Doesn't he walk around in sunlight?
I don't know. I've never actually seen him go outside. Then again, I never actually watched Sesame Street growing up. I was more for the Muppet Show.
Oh, hell yeah. Damn right.
Think what you'd watch?
The show's way better.
Have you seen that new show they have on TV?
The Muppets?
Yeah.
The Muppets Tonight or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a new...
I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, me neither. I've heard kind of bad things about it. But I'm glad they're back on. They have a new show, though. Regardless. Muppets Most Wanted could have been better.
I didn't watch it.
Sure, there's all kinds of vampires that we forgot to mention.
Yeah. But as you know us, we just started talking about doing this like 10 minutes ago. We didn't actually plan anything out.
Yeah.
So that's why we paused.
We don't do things like that.
Yeah, because if we did that, we wouldn't have gotten anywhere. Because we'd be arguing over the script.
Yeah.
So we just go, we just talk.
Just improvise, just let it go, let it roll freely.
And I think this is long enough.
Yeah, I'd say so. Almost at the 20-minute mark.
Yeah.
So yeah, vampires are awesome. There needs to be more good vampire movies. With vampires as the villain, not the heroes. Because I'm sick of that. It's become like generic cliche, yeah. Oh, well, do you have something to add?
Not really, no.
Oh, well, I'm Hellhounds.
I'm Spellbinder.
And thank you for watching Dead Level Discussions. Until next time.